Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Gate Equity webinar. In case you didn't know, OSPI has a YouTube channel where we post all of our recordings. So if you can't make it, or if you want to share a recording, or maybe you don't catch the end, all you have to do is subscribe by clicking on the little bell, and you'll get alerts each time that we post a video. Welcome to the Gate Equity webinar series. I'm Kefi Andersen, Graduation Equity Program Supervisor, and today we're talking about change management. This webinar is being recorded and it'll be posted in the next week or so, and it's actually live right now on YouTube. So you can see it live on YouTube right now. The PowerPoint is posted on our website. And my slides just moved. Sorry about that. We chose this topic because right now we're all experiencing a lot of change. So with the adjustments to virtual learning, hybrid schedules, learning new ways to do the work online, with that much change, we want to share with you some of the big ideas in change management and hook you up with some leaders that are doing really cool work. And I just want to say up front, this hasn't been an easy year, and we're so proud of the work that you're doing and the energy it's taken just to get by right now. The day-to-day of making virtual learning work is a huge lift. So focusing on monitoring one change idea that you've already implemented this year is a great starting place. So don't feel like you have to do something new. Pacing is a really important part of change management, where you have to consider how much change you can support right now. We are planning to put you in groups later on today, and it would be hugely helpful to us if you noted your name, your role, and your grade band. We use this information to try to put you with like roles, but if you don't give us the information, it's really hard for us to do. And there's also a lot of people in the audience named Ronnie Larson, and Ronnie Larson is one of our staff who's currently actually on vacation. So if you happen to have a Ronnie Larson link, it would be hugely appreciated if you could change your name. And this helps us also assign clock hours. This webinar is brought to you through the Office of System and School Improvement in the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. At OSPI, we believe each student needs to be prepared for post-secondary pathways, careers, and civic engagement. We're driven to transform K-12 education to a system that's centered on closing opportunity gaps and is characterized by high expectations for all students and educators. We believe we will accomplish this by developing equity-based policies and supports that empower educators, families, and communities. And we aspire to have all of our work be driven by these values, ensuring equity, collaboration, and service, achieving excellence through continuous improvement, and focusing on the whole child. The Gate Equity webinar was created with the purpose of highlighting practices that increase access to education and ultimately to graduation. Through our webinars, we're striving to go beyond equality, to think about the opportunities we have to examine and dismantle current policies and practices that result in disparate outcomes for our students, with the ultimate goal of ensuring that each student has access to the instruction and support that will make them successful in school and in life. We want to acknowledge historical contexts and engage our students, families, and communities as partners in decision-making, because they possess the strengths and cultural knowledge that will inform and transform our schools. Earlier this week, we celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day, and I hope you got a chance to also. I am honored to live on the ancestral lands of the Squaxin Island, Coast Salish, Cowlitz, and Nisqually tribes. And we want to acknowledge the tribe's commitment to the resurgence of their traditional ways and the respect and protection of all people, not only those who are living, but also those who have gone before and who are yet to be born. We pay our respect to the elders, both past and present, and to the valued resource the tribe has defined as their children. They are the tribe's future. We ask that the participants of this meeting also honor the tribal lands on which each of you are located today. And we've pasted some links into the chat that we hope you'll take advantage of. Although best practice is to enter into tribal consultation and talk to your local tribes about how they would like to move forward. We would also like to take a moment to ground ourselves in history. We stand with our communities of color, especially those who identify as and or are categorized as African American. We'll continue to center our work in leading with racial equity. The time's ripe for transformational change, and we believe attendance and participation is critical for access to education. Throughout our webinar today, we invite accountability and partnership. So we want to offer a moment of silence, and we're just going to take a moment and think about current events and historical context. So please join me in 1 minute of silence. Thank you. Our chat's open for your comments, and if you have them and want to share them, some resources too. At this time, we'd like to open the floor first to any of our participants of color if you'd like to speak, and then once we have done that, we'll move on and open the floor to everyone. So if you would like to say something, please unmute your mic and say something.
Okay, let me share my screen.
All right. I just want to say for myself, I see the upcoming election as an opportunity to really vote your values. So I hope every last one of you takes the time before Election Day to fully participate in our democracy. Thanks for participating in the moment of silence. And if you'd like to gather your thoughts and you come up with something that you want to share later, that's okay. Just add it to the chat box and we can continue that conversation. We also have clock hours available, and we'd love to see you get them for joining us. You can get an hour and a half of clock hours in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon. To collect these hours, you'll need to register in PD Enroller. So I believe we're going to get that. We have that link in the chat. And then you join us for the live webinar or webinars, and then you'll complete the PD Enroller evaluation. We do verify your attendance, and so we have a poll for you that I'm just going to leave open for a while so that people can check in. This is how we're verifying your attendance. So if you do want to collect clock hours, just mark yourself as here, and that would be great. Today, we're going to talk about what change management is, including processes and people to involve in your thinking. You'll get strategies for how to navigate change management in this really stressful time. And we have AWSP with us to talk to you about how they manage change and what they're recommending to principals right now. You'll also get a chance to talk to your peers about how to apply change management strategies in your work right now. I'm joined today by Christine Hurley. She's a project manager at OSPI, as well as Scott Seaman, who's the executive director at AWSP, and Kurt Hatch, who's an associate director at AWSP. Thank you all for the work that you've done to share your experience with our audience today. I think that you guys are going to be really impressed with what they have to say. We like to get to know our audience so that we can tailor our content to your needs. So we are going to close this other poll. And we are going to launch this other poll to see who's here. So we like to know what our audience looks like so we can tailor it to your needs. If you can let us know your role and your grade band, and how familiar are you with this topic? Do you know a lot about change management or somewhat, or is it completely new? So we're going to look at those polls. And right now it looks like we have a pretty even match between counselors and administrators. We've got a few teachers, a handful of district folks and coaches, a lot of secondary. About half of our audience is from the secondary grade band, and about 60% are familiar with the topic, and we've got about 75% of us have voted at this point. So I'm going to share these results out with our presenters so that y'all can see our audience a little more clearly. There we go. And Christine, if you want to grab the screen, you can do that. Next, we're going to go to Christine Hurley. She is one of our project managers at the Office of the System of School Improvement. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about what change management is and what the basics are. So Christine, are you ready to go?
I am. Let me grab my screen again and go to, okay. So, hi, good morning. My name is Christine Hurley, and I'm the project manager at the Office of System and School Improvement in OSPI. And my objective today, I know we're going through a lot of change. This year has not been easy. It has been filled with unknown changes, impacts. So taking just a few minutes to really talk about professionally what change management is and laying the foundation for some basic principles that will help us move through this change successfully as we implement these change initiatives, known and unknown. So to really understand change and how it impacts our work, it helps to understand the types of work we do that change impacts. So the first type of change I wanted to discuss is change impacting our projects. And when we're thinking about projects, we're thinking of work that has a definitive beginning and a definitive end. Our projects, change impacting our projects is going to be impacting our triple constraints: our scope, the work that we said we'd do to deliver a product to the customer. It's going to impact our schedule. Our schedule is our planned work effort, the work we're going to do in a specified period of time with the human resources necessary to get that work done. And it's also going to impact our financials. What is the cost needed to get this work done successfully? Another change that is impacting our work is process change. Processes are continuous, such as manufacturing, customer service, the work that we're doing in our schools and our districts day in and day out. Those changes are going to be it's going to be a broken or disrupted process that can be planned or unplanned. And the other change I want to talk about is organizational change. This is change on a larger scale. This is cultural change. It's changes in leadership. It's changes in restructuring. So I wanted to focus on more organizational change and breaking that down, because it seems to be a little bit more applicable to the work that we're dealing with right now on a state level in education. So moving through that, let's identify organization-wide change. This work that we could be impacted by right now, we're in election year, and the superintendent is up for election. We don't know what's going to happen today, but we will in November. Hopefully we don't, but we could be impacted by a change in our senior leadership. Another organization-wide change is policy change. And I think we can all identify with that type of change here. Strategic transformational change is more at the speed of change or cultural change. And when we're talking about the speed of change, and we can look at corporate America, we can identify 2 companies that did not successfully meet that speed of change, Blockbuster and Kodak. And cultural change is change that we need to change the way we're doing things. And moving through that cultural change is a very slow and arduous process, and that takes time. People-centric change, that can be changes involving layoffs or restructuring the organization. Sometimes organizations are growing so fast that they need to hire quickly. And then we have unplanned change. Unplanned change, we can all identify with right now. Who knew a year ago that we'd be dealing with a pandemic? Another famous unplanned change is Edward Snowden, the famous whistleblower. Both the pandemic and the whistleblower had some very large, unexpected impacts. And then we have remedial change. And remedial change are things such as silver tsunami. We have baby boomers retiring at such a rapid rate right now. Many organizations and government, whether it's state and federal, have not planned for how we're going to capture those decades of experience from our baby boomers that are taking that knowledge with them. And are we planning? Do we have those practices in place, such as a mentoring program, to capture that knowledge and retain it before they retire? That is a huge loss of knowledge, and it is a huge impact to the work that we do. And the change can be positive in how we address it or negative, and we have to accept that. So while there are many change models, I did want to take a few moments and just focus on 2 of those. So this one here is the Kubler-Ross change curve, and it addresses, it's people-centric. It focuses on the people who are moving through change. And there are 5 stages that it addresses: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance. And this tool is a good tool that leadership uses to identify, as we, the people, are moving through a change initiative. We do not move together through these stages. It would be great if we did, but fact is we don't. And leadership being able to identify where a person is and using that to further identify how can we work with them to help move them through to the next stage. 2 of the most important factors in any change initiative are the people and communication. So getting the people on board is really critical from the very beginning. Getting buy-in and moving the people successfully through that change process is extremely important in achieving that change initiative successfully towards the end. The other change model I wanted to discuss is Lewin's change model. And this has 3 phases, and it's more geared towards like organizational change. How are we unfreezing? How are we changing? And then how are we refreezing? So in the unfreezing, we've identified that there needs to be change. Our leadership has shown support. They have communicated to our staff and the organization and to impacted stakeholders externally, if need be, why we're going to be implementing this change and what the benefits are. How are the people going to benefit from this change? And then we're going to take the time to plan. We're going to reach out to our subject matter experts and we're going to plan the work that needs to be done. As we're doing that, we're unfreezing the organization. And then when we have a solid plan in place with the identified people who are going to be a part of that, including our change agents, we are going to begin moving through that change. We're going to successfully change. And once we know that the people are moving and working successfully in that new change environment, then we're going to refreeze it. So change success. I wanted to take a minute to really talk about this before I dive into how we fail at change. To really understand how we succeed, we need to understand why change initiatives fail. And fail is such a strong word. Some people disagree with that. But I wanted to offer a different take on this. When we look at some of our best worldwide athletes, and we think about how they got there, they did not only focus on what they did right, such as a golfer or baseball or a football player or soccer player. They took the time with their coaches to watch those videos of their work, their effort, play by play, and they picked it apart and they identified areas where they were not performing at their best, where they could improve. So whether we call it identifying our failures and change or identifying opportunities of improvement, we need to know that depending on the resource that we're looking at, and we can put a different spin on this, between 30 to 50% of our change initiatives succeed, meaning that 50 to 70% of our change initiatives fail. So in order to successfully succeed in our change, we have to take a look at areas that we're failing, and we have to be open to addressing them and accepting them and holding ourselves accountable for that work and making sure that we are addressing it right from the very beginning. One of those has to do with leadership support. Leadership support, so when we're talking about succeeding in change, we need three things from the very beginning. We need to show leadership is supportive of all of our change. We need the people on board with the change, and we need to know how we're communicating with the people. So we need leadership support from the very beginning. When we don't have leadership support and the people in the organization don't know that leadership is supporting this, or they don't believe that leadership is supporting this, it's really hard to get that support and buy-in from the people who are going to be changing and impacted by this change on such a personal level. Lack of accountability. How are we measuring our performance? How are we measuring the work that we do? And how frequently are we doing that from the beginning all the way through and past change? Failure to communicate. How are we communicating with the multiple stakeholders that we have identified and continuously communicating our successes and how we've addressed those areas that we have needed to improve? Inadequate resources. We need the human capacity to do the work. We also need the time and we need the funding. So we need to make sure that we've identified those resources, and we are also continuing to monitor that throughout the life of this work effort because they can change. Poor planning. As a project management professional, there are many projects that fail because we have not properly planned. Failure to measure performance. Again, how are we monitoring our performance as we're moving through this? What key performance indicators have we identified from the very beginning, and how frequently are we monitoring that? And are we holding ourselves accountable to that? A disorderly team. Sometimes people just fail to buy in, and how are we working with them? Our change agents are really important to identify those people who know the importance of this work that we're doing and who can work with those people who might be lagging behind or failing to show support in the work that we're doing, and they're just not participating in this work effort. Failure to seek employee feedback. Our subject matter experts, those people who are working, they're ingrained in this work. They are the experts that we need to listen to from the very beginning. They have input on the most important factors that we need to take into consideration as we're building this plan. And they know the areas of impact, both positive and negative, because they are so ingrained in the work. And we have to listen to all of our folks at all levels within the organization and our external stakeholders as well. Their voices are valuable. Resistance. We're going to have resistors. And knowing who they are and the value of listening to their voice can also be an extreme benefit to the work that we're doing and really meeting this change initiative successfully all the way through. Non-existent defined outcomes. We can put a plan together, but if we don't know where we're going and we don't know that ultimate objective, then our plan is nothing. So we have to know from the very beginning, what is that ultimate objective that we're striving to achieve? Then we can put the plan successfully together to execute the work and achieve that change. So stakeholder engagement, really, like I said, the people and communication are extremely important to the work that we're doing. And knowing who our stakeholders are helps us build that communication plan, and it helps us begin to work with them to obtain that buy-in that we need to begin putting our plan together and moving this successfully through. So we talked about executive support. We need to have executive support. We need to know who our stakeholders are, our subject matter experts. They can be internal to the organization, they can be external. Sometimes they're the people who are doing the work, and we need their input. They have some of the most valuable input. Our external stakeholders, our contractors, consultants, and other organizations that we might be working with, such as HCA. Customers. So when I look at our customers from inside OSPI, I'm thinking our ESDs, our districts, our schools, our families, and the kids that we're serving, our team members, staff, and colleagues, as well as other divisions that we are impacting the work that they're doing, or they're impacting the work that we're doing. And knowing those cross-divisional impacts can really be can offer a unique perspective, as well as their input into the work that we're doing and where those impacts are. Resistance to change. So there are resistors, and we do have folks who just refuse to buy in for one way or another. It's really important to obtain their input and know why. So sometimes it's a matter of sitting down with them and going granular, asking them why, and continue to ask the why, and listen to their feedback. Communicate why this changes. Communicating how they're going to benefit can also help get them on board. Sometimes the plan change is the wrong change. Sometimes we've planned this change initiative and we've identified the ultimate objective, but when we dig into listening to those subject matter experts who aren't buying into the work, they might have some really valuable input that helps us identify maybe we need to shift that ultimate goal, because they have the piece of knowledge that we just didn't take into consideration when we were building this. And then, darn it, I'm sorry. The last one I have is participation and engagement. We need the participation and engagement of all of our team members. And we need to know that, and we are showing our participation and engagement in that work as well. So moving into the breakout rooms, first, I did want to say thank you for your time and listening. I hope you found something valuable, and I hope this made sense. For the breakout rooms, did somebody else take that over?
Yeah, Christine, sorry about that.
Okay.
Gotcha. So for the breakout rooms, what we're hoping to do is we're just going to take 5 minutes. Is that right, Christine?
Yeah, we are going to take 5 minutes. And what we want you to do is, with your dominant hand, for just the first couple of minutes, take your dominant hand and sign your name 5 times. And then I want you to switch hands. And then I want you to sign your name with your non-dominant hand 5 more times. And then I want you to think about and talk with your breakout roommates how you can relate that discomfort to the changes that you're experiencing within your workplace right now.
So,
And then, oh, go ahead, Kefi.
oh, do you have, sorry, go ahead, Christine.
Nope, that's what we're gonna do. Discuss it with your breakout roommates, and then we'll come back.
All right, so Bonnie is gonna release us to the breakout rooms, and we're just gonna take 5 minutes.
Hey, Kefi, I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, I don't think I think only one of the people in our breakout was able to get the video to actually work. And when I tried hitting video, it said something about the video, I don't know, the host not approving it, or I don't know what it was, but I could never I kept getting a failure message. So I don't know if that's going to happen for future breakouts, but just thought I'd let you know.
Thanks, John. Sorry about that.
We didn't get the video either. In my group, there's 4 of us and nobody was there. It's just me. I mean, one person came in the last 3 seconds.
Our group was the same thing. It just kind of went blank.
We had a similar problem where unless we could start our video, it looked like we were in the room alone.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for letting me know.
And that's the first time that's happened to me, where I went, oh, okay, I'll try my video. And then I saw.
Our video worked, Kefi, because it's Dixie.
It did? Okay. Well, so it sounds like we have a little bit of a technical issue. So it might be helpful next time we do breakouts for everybody to turn videos on if you're able, and that will make it so that you're not in the room all by yourself. Were people able to share in their breakout rooms at all? If you'd like to share, we're going to take a couple of responses. So if you want to just raise your hands, I'll call on you and you can unmute. Looking for hands raised. John, I see you.
All right, we only had a group of 2 who could actively participate. There were 4 people. We could see the image of 1, but I think people aren't unmuting themselves or undoing the video, and that may be trickier for other people than me. The handwriting actually went okay, considering I did better than I thought, probably because I'm an artist and I had to do that same kind of thing for another webinar a few days ago. But it took, I felt like it was going to take the whole period at first, and then I got it rolling and it was better than I thought. But I feel fortunate, I think, because I was an artist. The other person felt like they could take the whole period to do it. So
it takes a lot of concentration. Gloria, I see your hand up.
Thank you. Good morning, all. Welcome to my birthday.
Happy birthday, Gloria.
Well, thank you. We were with Anthony from 121, Gloria, and Jillian, a 5th grade teacher, shared our experience. Jillian was the only one that participated in the activity before, but we were 3 overachievers working together, talking about how it was difficult, but yet we pushed forward to make it happen. Each of us spoke to how uncomfortable it was, because Anthony said it best, I think, when he said he was a planner. He liked that predictability, working toward the end, that goal setting, and then you throw this curve while you're setting me up. It sort of was our attitude. We have enough going on. We don't need to be set up like that. So it was a great piece. I was the only visual one, but that was okay. We managed to push through it.
Gloria. Yeah, change management. It is hard to change the way that we do things, especially when you have that muscle memory for how you've always done it. It's a leap. Christine, did you want to talk a little bit about your call to action?
Yes. So in implementing this into your daily life, I want you to challenge yourself to identify a change that's impacting you and or your colleagues. List your major stakeholders. In reviewing your stakeholder list, identify somebody who is a resistor. Reach out to them and engage them in conversation. Ask them why, and just listen. I want you to then reflect on what you've heard and think about how can you implement one thing that you heard into your change to improve how that process is moving.
I love this exercise, Christine, because I can think about it in being useful in so many places in my life. Not just the stakeholders at work, but the ones at home. So yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you, Christine. Awesome information. And thank you, everybody, for attempting the breakout rooms. We are learning more every day. We're going to go next to Scott and Kurt from AWSP. And so Scott and Kurt, if you'd like to get control of the screen, you can share your slides. Scott is the executive director at AWSP, and Kurt is an associate director there. And they're going to talk to us a little bit about leading change through reflective practice. So Scott, if you're ready. Yes. You may need to share your screen again.
Yep, I was, and then I wanted to make sure I unmuted myself because that'd be a hard show to run here. So can everyone see us now and hear us?
I can see you. Yes, good to go.
Sweet. Well, welcome everybody. We're going to do a quick 30-minute sprint on how to lead change. Sounds doable. I am Scott Seaman, the Executive Director of the Principals Association, recovering high school principal myself, and was part of leading many changes over the course of time in the same building, which is a big part of my why. And I'd like to just have Kurt introduce himself really quick.
Sure, thanks, Scott. So Kurt Hatch, I'm Associate Director at AWSP. Like Scott, spent a number of years, about 15, being a principal, primarily in elementary level at a variety of schools around Washington State, about 8 different districts and systems, including a little bit of time overseas in Shanghai, China. And it's great to be with all of you today. And we're going to dive in to our next slide here, which is to talk about really our mission. It's pretty simple. We're all about helping students through the principalship. So we support principals, the principalship in the education of all students. And in order to do that, we focus on 2 goals. Pretty simple, although they're overarching, and we try to go deep with them because the first one has to do with equity. So our goal is to identify and dismantle historically inequitable systems. So we're focused on closing gaps. We're focused on calling out issues of race, racism, inequity, pushing for inclusion. And so we do that in a variety of ways with the 16 folks that we have on staff and our Association of Washington Student Leaders, which I'll talk about a little bit in the afternoon. And then goal 2 has to do with making sure the principalship is sustainable. And right now it's become a bit untenable for school leaders, although they're still into it and they love the job. But one thing that really affects how they do their work is something that we call the churn. And the churn simply means that there's too many principals and assistant principals coming in and out of their schools too frequently. In fact, the Wallace Foundation study not too long ago showed that 1 in 4 principals, only 1 in 4 remain in the same building after 5 years. And of those 1 in 4, the other 75%, about 32% of those actually leave within the first 2 years. So our communities just can't sustain that change. It's inequitable. And that's really part of our mission. So moving on just to that next slide, Scott, this kind of sums it up. We want to create consistent leadership because that's how we create the conditions for change. Proven over and over, the longevity of our principals and assistant principals, those are the schools that are thriving. And those are when we have reports from other staff, teachers, counselors, paras, custodians that say, this is the school that I want to stay at because I have consistent leadership.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Kurt, that we believe the school leadership is everybody. It's from, as Kurt said, the students, but teacher leaders, counselors are an integral part to the school leadership team. And the longer a principal is in a building, the greater the ability it is for them to create that team that leads the school forward. So I just wanted to say that we consider school leadership all of the stakeholders in the system. As I kind of jokingly said, we're going to do a 30-minute sprint through how to lead change. So we're just going to share our purpose really quickly, talk about context, and then introduce to you what we refer to as the school leader paradigm, because change is hard. It's oftentimes seen as an ugly word in schools. People get initiative fatigue. So what we've discovered is if we use consistent language around change and what change management looks like within the school, then it's not so scary. So we'll introduce to you the school leader paradigm and then end with a little reflection. That is our 30-minute plan. And because this thing is set up ahead of time, we can't change it. So you're stuck with that plan. So how do we lead change when change is leading us? I mean, when you think about the current reality that we all have right now, and you may have been coming into this school year with these big plans around the change you were going to lead, but look what you're leading. Look at the role that we've all landed ourselves in. We just did a recent survey of our members that over 60% of principals are considering leaving the profession. That's not the role that they saw themselves running this fall. And I know teachers are feeling that way. I've got lots of great friends that are counselors who are overwhelmed. So we're kind of in this reactive stance. So how do we continue to move our schools and our systems forward when oftentimes we feel like we are being dragged behind this change? So what I wanted to put out there and I can't see the chat, so I'll rely on the team to maybe shout out some of the things. But if you were to pause and think about your current context, your reality, and if you were to identify 1, 2, or 3 things that are keeping you awake at night, what would they be? So if you wouldn't mind just reflecting for a second and then toss them in the chat. What are your top 3 concerns about your educational context? And Kurt, maybe if you can see the chat, or Kefi, if you want to just shout out some of the things that
Sure.
people are putting in there.
Yeah, we've got Anne coming in with inequity, getting students' assignments in, tech inequities, just the overall impact on kids. Let's see, Dixie's saying planning, connecting, and Angela's talking about just lots of change coming quickly, unanswered questions, cognitive load, homelessness and hunger in the community. These are all big time issues. Adult social emotional learning. Yes. Again, with technical issues. John's talking about communication. Kim, staff burnout. Another about inequities from Bridget. They're flying in fast. I can't keep up. There's so many things that people are finding challenging right now, but that's no surprise. Just overload, information overload, safety, overall stress. Okay, Paula's talking about misplaced blame. That can be very stressful. A couple more about stress, frustration.
Yeah, so I think.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so the point in bringing that up is look at what's been listed, and then think about maybe last spring before COVID hit and school turned into what it is right now. We probably had lots of grandiose plans in our mind of the changes that we were going to implement in our building or work through. We were going to put in a really robust MTSS structure. Maybe it was PBIS that your school was tackling. You think about all of those big changes that you were planning on lifting, but what Kurt, you just listed off are reactions to change. You need to move the momentum forward while we're reacting. And Kurt, I just got that warning that my internet's unstable. So if I disappear in the middle of this, I'm sure you're going to have a great rest of your show.
Okay, sounds good.
So leading change has always been hard, but leading now is courageous. And when I say that, I am talking to everybody. I'm talking to our student leaders, I'm talking to our teachers, our counselors, and building administrators. It's courageous work we're doing right now, from home visits to checking with kids who aren't turning their cameras on and just waving and saying that they're there, to all the gaps that were big before that are now exponentially growing. It's courageous to be leading right now. So what does it look like? This is the language that we use with our school leaders. So our AWSP members, we're trying to get people to frame their leadership around what we call this infinity loop of change. And it starts with the outside. And Kefi kind of alluded to this in the beginning when she was referring to the political context that we're living in. Well, all of us are leading in our buildings right now, and all of us lead through different contexts, our individual contexts, what's happening in our homes, the school context and the realities of the school, our community context. I mean, we have a diverse state, and we've got principals and counselors and teachers leading and doing this from different communities across our state. That plays a huge piece into this, and obviously the political. This is what we refer to as change. Do you see an end to this loop? No. And I think we are guilty in education space of thinking that, oh, we put in a change and then everything will be rosy. And that's not the case. We are constantly leading change, constantly working through and checking ourselves and assessing progress. The other piece that we do as an association is we get people using common, consistent language, and we encourage all of the leadership team to use this same language. And it starts with this right-hand side of this paradigm. We are all leaders of culture, and culture we see as the most important thing in schools. So what falls under the culture domain? We also see leaders of, as we're all systems leaders. It's the systems that support that culture. And we're all leaders of learning. And this is the right side of what we refer to as the school leader paradigm. It's a learning organization. So when you think about all of the issues and things, and especially the ones you were listing off, Kurt, where would those fall into? Would they fall under the culture domain, the systems domain, or the learning domain? We would encourage our leaders, their school leadership teams, to use these three buckets as they're leading change in their buildings, because they are a learning organization and everything falls within these three buckets. Kurt, do you want to throw anything in there? Or...
Well, I think we're focusing right now so much on culture, especially when we're hearing people say things like social emotional learning, their own wellness. And that is so much in the culture domain, and just being open to take care of ourselves and to take care of each other, because this change is going to be rapid fire for months to come. And so if we can just situate ourselves in a place where we can give grace to ourselves and others and focus on that part of the school culture, I think we're doing ourselves a lot of good.
And what we found in our research at AWSP is that principals get in trouble when they have not invested enough time and energy into culture and relationships, and they jump straight into systems leadership. And they try and change something. They try and change a system that's been in place for decades without building the relational stock. So we believe that great leaders have the ability to push on the culture, the systems, and the learning domains all at the same time. But we do say that you need to start with culture before you go directly at systems changes. And I'm sure all of us could think right now through examples in our past, or maybe it's the current situation you're in and your leader has started in systems and you're thinking, whoa, let's go back to culture. And I would argue right now that everyone should be focused on their relationships in the system. Our kids and our adults need hope that we're going to come out of this, and living in the culture domain is a great spot to be. The other side of this paradigm that we are trying to get our leaders to start thinking about is the fact that our school leaders, and again, I'm talking to all of you, you're lead learners in a learning organization. But what the system doesn't focus on enough is, what is it about those leaders that makes them effective, or, and oftentimes, many cases, what makes them ineffective? So the left side of this paradigm is what we refer to as the becoming side of the paradigm, We're always becoming. So what is it about your personal intelligence that makes you an effective leader? What is it about your social intelligence that makes you an effective leader? What is it about your systems intelligence that makes you an effective leader? Or in any case, in any one of these three areas, what makes you an ineffective leader? So as you step back and look at this paradigm, you look at the interplay between these two sides. Somebody that has a great ability to lead culture on the right-hand side might have incredibly high social intelligence. So that's where they tend to lead from. Somebody who's an incredible systems leader might have incredible systems intelligence, but lack on the personal relations, the personal intelligence and culture areas. Kurt, you want to throw anything? I love this tag team presenting here. Not that you have to.
I think my thoughts will just like underscore some of the things that you're seeing, you're saying. What I add is having social intelligence means that we do give ourselves time to listen deeply and observe the dynamics, the personal relationship dynamics in our context and be aware of them, because that impacts how systems function. The social interaction definitely impacts how the systems function.
So if you think about some of the lists of concerns that you all threw in the chat, where would you drop it into this paradigm? If you think back to what you wrote down or what you wrote in there, would it fall into the culture domain, the learning domain, and the systems domain? And that's where we would encourage teams to collectively lead forward. This paradigm is what we officially call, let me finish opening those curtains real quick. We are officially referred to as the school leader paradigm. And as much as I'd love to say that we developed this only in Washington, it was really a partnership with a couple other states that have developed this paradigm, and it's spreading across the country. We believe in this so much because it captures the art and science of leadership. And we believe it fits across all domains of leaders. Our student leaders are even using the same language in the programs that we're running for Association of Washington Student Leaders. And we believe in the tagline at the bottom here of the school leader paradigm that all of us have the responsibility of creating hope in the system. And if you are being a reflective leader, you're truly pointing the finger at yourself first as you lead. What is it about me that makes me effective? What is it about me that makes me special? What is it about me that's maybe getting in the way of leading? Then change is more likely to occur. So I'm throwing a couple questions on the side here. What do you know about yourself and your team that will help you lead during these challenging times? And I ask that question because I know a whole bunch of principals out there and other school leaders who are great systems thinkers, and they are thinking about how to get in and improve instruction in the classroom right now, whatever that classroom might be. And they want to just put the pedal to the metal around leading change in that area. My hope would be that they're holding up the mirror, looking at it quickly and saying, well, maybe right now that shouldn't be my focus. Maybe right now as a leader, I should just be checking in on their mental health, their emotional health. How are they doing? How are they balancing teaching at home while their own kids are also on devices throughout the house? The next question there is, what are your strengths that you can lead and lean on? So if you know you're a great culture leader and systems leadership is not your strength, then lead culture, embrace that, but make sure that you surround yourself with the other people who are systems leaders. Build that team around you so that you're all complementing your strengths and your areas where that we need to focus. I'm going to pause. Kurt, you want to throw in anything into that?
Just about to hit send on a chat message. I'll just read it ahead of time. So you know, I hear these 3 questions as know thyself, know your impact, and how can you, in whatever your context is, whatever your role is, how can you extend your leadership because you have gifts to give? And how can you also encourage or distribute leadership opportunities to other folks, encourage them, whether it's other staff members, students, or community members?
So we would encourage you, if this is something that interests you, or you feel like your system has lacked a consistent language that's used across the district, or maybe it's in your building. We have many examples across the state and country where people use this language. And it's nice when your students use the same language, your teachers use the same language, and the leadership team, whatever that might be, uses the language around culture, systems, and learning. It's also great when you, as a collective leadership body, are coming together and talking about your strengths and weaknesses and having open conversations about that, because that's only going to help you not only navigate, but what we like to say is to thrive during these crazy times. So everybody has the responsibility of being a learning leader in a learning organization, and change is something that's ongoing, and it's not a dirty word. It's this plan, implement, reflect, and assess constant progress monitoring that's in place. I'm going to pause, and I'm just going to throw out if anybody has any questions for us. If not, I think the next slide, Kefi gets to take back over, but I'm just going to pause and see if anybody has any questions in the chat. If not, that's how you lead change in 30 minutes, people. That's right. The school leader paradigm. And anyway, this is just the beginning. If you'd like more information about the school leader paradigm and how it might fit in your system, feel free to reach out to either one of us.
Thanks, Scott and Kurt. Such great ideas. We are going to go to breakout rooms so that we can discuss what we've heard today and hopefully take this to the next level. And Scott and Kurt, do you think it would be helpful for people to discuss those questions that you posed in that last slide?
I do, and you know, sometimes it's great to actually use examples through their own leadership journey where they saw leadership fall apart without using names. But what did we learn? Did leadership go wrong because we were focusing on systems and not enough culture? Did leadership go wrong because we jumped straight to learning and didn't build the culture and the system? So I think it's great for people to actually talk about examples in their past or present.
Awesome. So we do have a couple of focus questions there that I'm going to put into the chat, and Bonnie is going to put y'all in breakout rooms in just a moment, but I would encourage everybody to turn on your videos because I think that made a difference in how you joined a breakout room or not this last time. So if you're willing to turn on your video, for some reason that helped people join this last time. So I hope I'm not just being superstitious, but I think we could all try it and see if it works.
Kefi, are we going for 15 minutes?
And yes, we are going to go for 15 minutes.
So Kefi, mine's still, when I click on the video, even in this, says specifically the message is unable to start video. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it. And that's what I got when I was in the last breakout. So.
Okay, let's see. So John, I just asked you to start. Did that help?
I don't know. Can you see me?
I can see you.
I'm sorry.
You're beautiful, John. You're beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
Hi,
All
Kefi.
right.
This is Brad. I'm having the same issue. It said it was turned off and I can't restart. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
I'm trying to, I'm going to go down the pages here.
Breakout rooms, I don't see. I see you, Kefi, but no one else.
Okay, so we're not yet in breakout rooms. But I'm just kind of going down the list for people to start videos.
Let me know when you're ready.
And Megan, if you want to help too, there's a lot of people on this call.
We have not sent anybody to a breakout room. We're making sure everybody's cameras work.
Is there anybody else who needs assistance, who isn't able to start their video?
Kefi, this is Kate. Mine doesn't start.
Kate, where are you at?
8 people, we should probably get going.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. Okay, Kate.
Okay, I'm good.
You should be good. Anybody else need help starting videos? Okay. If you do have issues while you're in the breakout room, you can always come back to the main room. In the main room, we can help you. So we're going to try it. So Bonnie, why don't we start our breakout rooms? We're going to take about 15 minutes, and then when we come back, we can share some big ideas.
Okay, here we go.
Thanks, Bonnie. And for people left in the room, would you like to join breakout rooms? Are you having trouble? It looks like Jill would like to go to a breakout room.
Kiki, am I supposed to do something to be able to go? I don't know how to do it. Usually they just magically appear.
Yeah, so if you look at your controls, like for your Zoom, there might be a breakout room button, and you can click on that breakout room button and it should say join the room. Anybody else out there wanting to join a room or having trouble?
I see a couple of people that have not joined a room and aren't assigned. If you want to show yourself or unmute yourself, let me know who you are. I can put you in a room.
Hey, this is Anne. I'm actually kind of going back and forth between my son getting his wisdom teeth out and listening.
No
So
problem.
I'm
No
going to hold
problem.
off on because I feel like I can't be fully present, if that's okay.
That's okay.
No, we're good.
Okay, thanks.
That's exciting. Big deal to get your wisdom teeth out. And Samantha, are you having trouble?
Both my people left my room and I was all by myself, so I thought I'd come out and talk to Scott.
Sounds good.
Girl, you know I got plenty to do. Unless somebody that is stuck outside the room wants to partner.
It looks like Melody would like to join a room also. And Bonnie, maybe we can reassign Samantha. What do you think?
Okay, I found her. Hang on a second. She was the only one in her room.
I was. I'm gonna take it fully personal too.
Okay.
So good to hear your voice, lady, and to see you, Kefi.
Yes.
Good to see you too. I'm glad you could join us this morning. Lots of familiar faces out there. Like, oh, I know them. And Bonnie, did you get a chance to get Melody in somewhere?
I'm trying to right now.
Okay.
Anybody else there? Okay, I think we're good. I haven't heard from anybody else.
How much time is left on the clock? Do you know?
Hang on just a minute.
Forgot to set my timer.
It's going to tell me when it's ready to close. We are maybe 5 minutes in.
Okay. I'm gonna give myself a timer.
Okay.
Just keep me accountable.
So Kefi, that really was just a tease into the paradigm, but we really have found that schools that are using that as their language has really helped kind of unify everybody around a common language. So if you want us to come back and go deeper at some point, we'd be happy to.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the right notes. It was good.
And my internet stayed alive for the entire time, which I was worried about.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm really glad it worked out. You had me nervous. I was like, oh no, I hope it doesn't cut out. But yeah, you and Kurt are the dream team. And I think Samantha, you had questions for Scott. Do you guys want to chat? You can.
No, I miss being in a district and being a vice principal. So it was just nice to hear his voice and see him and Kurt present again.
Yeah, how are you?
Good, I'm good. It's my second year. I'm in my second year at OSPI. So I'm definitely missing district administration. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, when you step away from the building and step into these kind of statewide leadership roles, you have those mornings where you wake up missing kids and missing the chaos. And I still have a little PTSD on Friday nights that I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Right.
And I've been out for, you know, a long time.
And the during these times with COVID and remote learning, just wanting to be at the table helping solve problems on a local level, right? It's not something I get to dive into at OSPI. So, but yeah, football, cheerleading, all of it, homecoming.
Yep, but it's good work. The ability to influence the larger system and bring voice to the trenches, I think is super important.
Are you guys finding a huge turnover this year? And not at AWSP, but in principal? You talked about the churn, or Kurt talked about the churn. I imagine principal longevity is shortening considerably.
Yeah, both the national associations have done surveys, and you know, we're seeing higher numbers than normal about discontent in the role. It's no doubt that principals love their jobs, but this is just a new layer of challenge that is facing them. And as somebody mentioned earlier, it is middle management.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people look to you for the answers for everything, but you oftentimes aren't in the position to provide the answers. So, and that, you know, that can be a wearing spot for building leaders.
Well, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for joining us.
It looks like Bonnie has rejoined. That's good.
So Kefi, I went into a couple of the rooms that looked like there was only one person live. And I think that what is happening is some people aren't joining the room or just aren't choosing to participate. So it looks like some people are alone in their rooms.
Okay. Maybe we can combine a couple.
I just tried doing that.
Okay. And I think Scott would like to join one.
Okay.
If we can get Scott in there.
Sure.
Or Scott Norberg. Yeah.
Scott Norberg?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. I don't see him. Let's find him.
His video's on. Thanks, Scott.
Okay. To room. Scott, I'm putting you in room 9.
We've got about 5 minutes left.
Scott Norberg, you didn't get into a room?
I was in room 10, but I was having issues with my screen.
Okay, and then I moved you into room 9, but it says you haven't joined yet. Did you want to try that?
Nothing's come up to join. It's just.
Okay, let me try it again.
If you don't see the option to join, sometimes it doesn't pop up when you move rooms. So if you look at the bottom of your screen and your toolbar, there should be a breakout room button.
Okay, I found it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Megan.
And Bonnie, do you have a time check for us?
You know, Kefi, I didn't start my my stopwatch either, my timer. So I can close the rooms whenever you're ready. It's supposed to let me know when it's 1 minute from closing.
Oh, okay, cool. We should be close, I think.
I think we're close also. And people are starting to come back. Yes. Good timing.
All right. Bonnie, is everybody back at this point?
They're coming back slowly.
Okay.
They should be back in about 20 seconds.
Perfect. All right, it looks like the numbers have come back. Thank you for participating in our breakout rooms. We'd love to hear a little bit, like a sample of what you got to talk about. So if you'd like to share something from your conversation you think would benefit the whole group, if you'd raise your hand, I'll ask you to unmute and we can get a couple of ideas out there for the folks listening on YouTube. Is there anybody who'd like to share?
Kefi, I'll share. This is
Kate, just so that you know, my name is pronounced Kefi. It
Kefi,
rhymes with
I am so
Jeffy.
sorry. I'm so
That's
sorry,
okay.
Kefi. Listen, I'll share. In our group, I had two great interventionists and educators that really talked about the need for creativity and different types of PLCs. And so I think that's awesome. You know, looking at out of the box thinking of ways that we can engage these kids without giving them straight Fs because they're not engaging the way that they used to in a remote setting. So they did an outstanding job of really talking about leadership and innovative ways they have to look at leadership.
Thank you, Kate. Good stuff. I'm not seeing any other hands raised, but Manuela, I see that you're unmuted. Would you like to say something?
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't know I was unmuted. No, we were just definitely talking about how we're in very different, uncertain times right now. And just the different struggles that school employees are having right now, as well as our students.
Yeah. It's been a tough year. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate all of the thoughts and sharing going on. And we are gonna go to this next thing. So we do wanna kind of put out for you some options to think about. So as you go forward and out into the world, consider how can you discuss some of these ideas that you have with your leadership or with those that you're working with? Are there opportunities to share some ideas with your PLCs? Or maybe lead a discussion with your students. They're definitely stakeholders in the education system, so they're great to check in with as well. And if you do have a next step, maybe you'll tell us in the chat. We know that at least one person today said that they want to copy the chat and share it with some of their administrators. So please do feel free to tell us what you're going to do next. We are going to share with you an evaluation as well. And we take our evaluations really seriously. We use these to change what we do in the webinar. And we're all about continuous improvement. So we use our evaluations to look at who we invite to present with us, and we're always looking for the best. So we appreciate y'all presenting with us as well. And we also want to make sure that it's the right size for you. So here is this. And if you'd like to take the longer form feedback survey so that you can tell us a little bit more in a long answer form or anything like that, then you can take that survey that's posted in the chat. We do have a few resources to share with you. So Christine, do you want to talk through some of these?
Sure. These are just, most of these are on the internet. There's a really good article on change management and how does it work. They're the basics. Tools and some videos. The TED Talk I really, really like. It is actually very applicable to our industry, as well as learning some more basic tools in our change management process. We put the AWSP websites and what is that last? And then the last one is, I think, Kefi, the last one is yours.
Yes, it is. So at OSPI, we have this awesome link so that if you'd like to get more information about supports that OSPI has available, you can get personalized assistance from our staff. And so if you use that link, if we don't know the answer, we'll connect you with the right person. And I really hope that all of you take advantage of that for, I mean, like, we're thinking that we need a grant for this, that, or the other, or we would like support working with the Office of Native Education or whatever it might be, okay? So however you are facing today, we wanna help. So if you use that link, we can get you that personalized assistance. And of course, another option for a resource is all of us. So any of the presenters here today, you can always email us and we'll get back to you. And these email addresses are also, they're in the slides. So if you do want a copy of the slides, they're available on the Gate Equity webinar page on the OSPI website. And Megan has been so kind as to paste them in the chat. Thanks, Megan. Next month, we're going to be talking about engagement. So we'll have foundations of tribal sovereignty and promising practices in Indian education. And John Claymore is going to be on with Laura Lynn, and we have a really cool lineup of presenters. So I really want to encourage you to come back for that presentation. And this afternoon, we are having more time with Scott and Kurt. So if you want more, which of course, like, who wouldn't want to spend more time with Scott and Kurt? That's this afternoon at 3 o'clock. And we've got that link in the chat for you. It's all ready. So that's it for today. So hopefully everybody have a great lunch break, and we'll see you more this afternoon.
So this afternoon's class is different, is that right? Well, you're muted.
You know, even after like 6 months, it still happens sometimes. Sorry about that. So yeah, this afternoon is going to be different. It's going to have, we're going to talk about progress monitoring a little bit more closely. And we're also going to have Travis Wentworth on with us to talk about that. So
thank you.
Pretty cool.
Hi there, Kefi, Bonnie, Christine, Travis, and Kurt. It was fun to watch you work today. I enjoyed sharing the space. I followed the prompts, Kefi, so I know that you know that I don't always do that. The prompts were delightful. I had a nice breakout. So anyway, just Megan, thanks. It's so fun to watch you all team. So anyway, I just wanted you to know I enjoyed listening to and getting to watch all of you do your thing. It's good. It's good. Thank you for what you do.
Aw, thanks, Tennille. That makes my day.
I can be warm and fuzzy every once in a while.
We won't tell anyone.
Don't
okay?
tell anyone.
Don't tell
Keep
anyone.
keep my secret. All right. Okay. Well,
I
it
think
was.
kindergarten's getting to you, Tennille.
It is. It's wearing me down. Who am I anymore? No, it was great. I was actually thinking if it wasn't for Rachel being off today, I would have emailed or texted her to say, I always need to come to at least the 101 or the 201 if I can help it. I think just getting the chance to hear not only from the content presenters, but to hear from folks working in buildings is definitely a source of connection and moral imperative for me. So anyway, thank you for giving me that. I needed it. Oh, Samantha's going to tell everyone that turkey. I see her little note that she's going to tell everyone that I'm a softie. All right. I'm going to try to come back this afternoon.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay. I think it's just us. So let's pull up this evaluation. Did you guys see it? Looks like we got pretty good marks.
Nice.
I said this presentation will change my practice in the future. It was relevant to my work. Content experts. We met the goals. They'd recommend participating to a friend. Yay, hooray.
Nice.
Yeah.
Done.
Hey, Bonnie, you're still the host. Can you go ahead and stop the live stream?
Oh, that's what you meant.